let's get started. The Senate will now be called to order. Before we get onto the land acknowledgement, I just want to quickly review voting etiquette. So if you have any questions, comments, or motions, please use the raise hand function. And as for voting, if you're in favor of the vote, please raise your hand using the raise hand function. If you're opposed, click the no reaction. And if you would like to abstain, please click the go slower reaction. Just as a reminder, everyone does need to vote. Senators only, so members of the public and non-Senate branches, please do not vote. And then just a reminder, since today is being recorded, that private messages are made public in the transcript. So just keep that in mind. And then I'll remove everyone's vote once the vote is decided. So just make sure that you pay attention that your hand is raised if you have another comment, question, concern after a vote is had. Moving on to the land acknowledgement. As we gather for this meeting, physically dispersed and virtually constructed, let us take a moment to reflect on the meaning of place, and in doing so, recognize the various traditional lands on which we do our business today. And since this meeting is being held online, a singular land acknowledgement can't capture the richness of our distribution across the US and around the world. And since ASG is a body under the University of San Diego, I would like to share the land acknowledgement that is used at USD. And I also invite all of you today to consider your own position with regard to the land where you find yourself. I want to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the traditional and unceded territory of the Kumeyaw Nation. I want to pay respect to the citizens of the Kumeyaw Nation, both past and present, and their continuing relationship to their ancestral lands. Thank you. The Clerk of Senate will now take roll.
Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker. Alrighty, let me pull it up right now. Happy Thursday, everyone. One more day till Friday. Yay. And I hope you're all doing well. Okay. So to start us off, AG Armienta.
Here.
Thank you. Alana Del Torre.
Here.
Thank you. Alexa Andrade.
Here.
Thank you. Benjamin Tebow.
Here.
Thank you. Brooke Powell.
Here.
Thank you. Cecilia Baron.
Here.
Thank you. Daniela Peña.
Here.
Elena Cruz.
Here.
Thank you. Ezra Wheeler.
Here.
Thank you. Fantasy Bias.
Here.
Thank you. Lauren Fetes.
Here.
Madeline Wu.
Here.
Okay. Max Donahoe.
Present.
Thank you. Megan Womack.
Here.
Okay. Mia Soto. Mia Soto. If not, I'll come back. Sabrina Mendoza.
Here.
Thank you. Sean Kenny.
Here.
Okay. Thomas Riley.
Here.
Tiana Fee.
Proxy.
Thank you. Okay. And we're good to go.
Thank you, Ari. Moving on to approval of today's agenda. Are there any motions? Lauren?
I move to approve today's agenda.
Second.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor having been seconded to approve today's agenda. Is there any further discussion? If not, please cast your votes. Thank you. Motion passes. The agenda has been approved. Moving on to approval of the minutes from last week's meeting. Are there any motions? Lauren?
I move to approve the minutes from last week's meeting.
Second.
Thank you. There is a motion on the floor having been seconded to approve the minutes from last week. Is there any further discussion? If not, please cast your votes. Thank you. Motion passes. The minutes have been approved. Okay, moving on. Just as a reminder to senators, the timeline is hyperlinked in the slides, as well as I sent out the timeline 2 weeks ago to senators on the timeline of what ASG did last semester to push for pass-fail. So if you haven't already looked at it, feel free to take a look at that later. And hopefully that provides context for Provost Baker's visit later today and provides insight into why strategies have moved to a different direction to the legislative route. Also, as a reminder, there is now an online comment forum where students can submit comments and questions to be read aloud during hearing of the public, time permitting, of course. So please share the Instagram post that's on ASG's Instagram to your respective platforms. And that's open right now as well. And that will be open up until the hearing of the public. So students are encouraged to continue making comments and questions there. And then also just as a reminder, in an effort to support the Black Student Resource Commons call for more department support around Black History Month, ASG Executive Board decided that moving forward, all members of all ASG branches will be required to attend 3 ASG funded events through the Commons this semester, and that will be counted towards senators' office hours. And so one event that's coming up that I will be going to is Tuesday Trivia, which is hosted through the Commons and the Changemaker Hub. And it will be March 2nd from 6 to 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. And now moving on to our next item in the agenda, reports from committee chairs and coordinators. Sabrina?
Hi, everyone. Happy Thursday also, so close to the weekend. So reports from the academics committee. Tomorrow is the academic grant application deadline. So if you have any students or constituents that want to apply, we're going to be ending that application process at 5 p.m. tomorrow, Pacific Standard Time. And we will be sending out a rough draft of the equitable learning resolution to the Senate for review over email. So if you have any comments or suggestions, look out and we will allow you to look at that before we present it formally into Senate. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. No updates from IDE this week. Thank you.
Hi, y'all. So we're still working on the buddy program that was mentioned last meeting, and we're just waiting right now for gathering responses in regards to club's interest in joining the program. And this Monday, we're meeting with members from the judicial branch to reconvene and continue to work on the student org committee bylaws. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So I wanted to update everyone that I'm going to be reaching out to auxiliary services because a couple students have come forward with some complaints about them being closed, dining services being closed when they have stated they're going to be open. So if anyone else has heard anything or any other problems constituents have had with that, please let me know so we can sort of get everyone on the same page with that. And then just as an update, some of our initiatives are sort of in a holding pattern because of COVID-19. So once sort of the campus gets on better terms and things start opening up again, we're going to be rolling on again. So we got some things in the works. They're just kind of holding on right now.
Hey guys, no new updates right now, but I hope you all are having a great week.
Hi, everyone. I have a quick update from Student Wellness. We are now recruiting for our Pure Body Project workshop series. So if you are interested in learning more, we just posted on our Instagram a lot of helpful details about what this workshop is about. And you can email schwip@sandiego.edu if you are interested. And I'll link to the post here.
Hi, everybody. There are no new updates from me. Just hoping you guys have some smooth finals.
Hi everyone, I'm so sorry. There is a lawnmower going on. I'm sorry if it's super loud. I'll try to make it quick. So our meetings are still on Tuesdays, 1:30 to 2:30 PST. Feel free to join us. There's closed captioning / live transcript always available now that Zoom has allowed that. I'm so sorry. And then if I just wanted to point out, if you need any, or you want any access needs, please request them either through me or the DLDRC. It is not limited to anything. It can be ASL, large print, audio description for like visual images, whatever it is. Awesome. Okay, I feel like I'm yelling. Anyway, so tell your friends, tell your constituents. I feel like sometimes folks don't want to reach out or don't want to go to events because they have to reach out and get accommodations. But the UDC / myself, I'm more than happy to be making those accommodations for folks and making sure funding or anything else is not a problem and we can get it, because access issues are super huge. But we want everyone to be able to access this live Senate and the recording. So feel free to reach out to me. And as always, the USD Accessibility Concerns and Support Needed form is available. I will drop that link in the chat. But if you have any accessibility concerns, virtually or in person, whether it's in your classes or at events, just let us know. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Moving on to reports from ASG Executive Board members. Joey, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Maya. Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I hope many of you were able to make the event last night with Disha Dyer. If you did, you certainly know that it was pretty amazing and inspiring and just super informative. So I encourage y'all to, of course, attend those 3 events because they're amazing. So now I'd like to formally thank everyone who helped make the What to Fix forum a success. It was super insightful. I'm really glad we got so many questions from the student body. And I was really appreciative of all the work that everyone put in to help make it a success. So in terms of other updates, so I reached out to around 12, 13 other student orgs. Again, I hadn't received any feedback. However, I've gotten 2 responses from the 3rd wave of email that I sent out. So the orgs that have responded are Students Working Against Trafficking and People of the Islands Club. So I will be working to set up a meeting with those 2 organizations within the coming weeks. So if anyone's interested, please reach out. I'd love to have you all here. This is what our job's all about, reaching out to constituents, hearing what they'd like for us to do and hearing what they just have been seeing on campus and in terms, well, virtual campus in this case. So in the coming weeks, probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we are going to begin, the endowment committee will begin working on the endowment applications. There's some certain guidelines that we have to follow in the endowment bylaws, like the amount of questions, letters of rec, essays, and resume and stuff like that. So we're going to see what we'll do with that. And then we'll begin reaching out promptly to see what the 4 non-ASG members, who they will be. So yeah, that's how my schedule is looking for the next few weeks. So thank you.
How's it going, everyone? Justin's at University Senate, so I'll be giving his updates today, starting with the University Senate motions. So they're moving to remove gendered language from all policies in the USD policy manual. And relevant to COVID-19, metrics to move San Diego from the red to purple tier are not being met. However, USD's numbers are slightly getting better, but the B117 variant is expected to be the dominant strain in San Diego by the mid to end of March. And additional surges are expected after spring break. And for financial updates, based off of fall data, additional expense cuts / draconian measures are not expected for the spring, and efforts in the fall set the school up well for an unknown spring. And lastly, for the search committees, the VP of Student Affairs search will be posted soon, and the entire campus will soon be involved. And lastly, the VP of Integration, or sorry, Mission Integration applicants are being interviewed this Saturday. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. As mentioned, last night was TVB's and BSU collaboration lecture with Disha Dyer, and it was an amazing lecture and a great turnout as well. We are still in the works for our March speaker, and I'll be sure to provide hopefully more information next week. And then in addressing some comments from last week and just more transparency in regards to programming budget and the Core Connect budget. As y'all know, at least for TPB, we have a lump sum budget, meaning that we don't go line by line when we request funding, and all of that funding is kind of just given to us, and we allocate mostly to in line with that. And so on there was a virtual events budget, and there was also an on-campus programming budget. And so with that, we had always intended of combining those two budgets and then dividing that out amongst our events. And so that was kind of just to be for this semester. We intended that every virtual event would have an on-campus component. However, with the stay-at-home order and the surge on campus, we have eliminated the on-campus portion, at least for the time being, and we'll reassess after spring break. And so those budgets have been combined, and all of those budgets have just allowed us to have greater and larger virtual events, which have been showing in the numbers that we had for our previous two events. So I'm really looking forward to that. For the Core Connect allocations, I reached out to Serena Gandara, and they let me know that the budget is still allowed to be used and the centers knows to use it. But I do plan on reaching out with them just to have like a more direct contact with the departments who fall under Core Connect, and just remind them that the budget's there for them to use. And then I also will be working on a feedback form for TPB, and hopefully I can share the link with y'all next week, and it'll allow us to get feedback on previous event, future event ideas, and general TPB concerns. And then also just reiterating Maya and the Trivia Tuesday Black Student Leadership Edition. Here is the registration link if you'd like to go, and that's all.
Everyone, I don't have too many updates. For the first one, the judicial branch met last Thursday evening, and we discussed the continued remote nature of elections this semester. So we decided to make the same extenuating circumstance amendments this semester that we did last year. So for all the senators, when you ran, these amendments should look pretty similar. So ASG can post candidates, and candidates can mass text and mass email as long as they're not spam, which we operationally defined here. So yeah, those were the amendments we made. And then, as I've mentioned the past few weeks, but just as a reminder, we're going to be going into more detailed constitution edits coming up probably a couple weeks. So if you have any ideas, please reach out to me or any member of the judicial branch to share your thoughts, or if you just want to discuss how that could possibly be implemented, like you don't have a specific idea of how you could edit the Constitution, but you just want to edit it in a specific way, reach out to us. And then also, again, like always, the checks and balances and whatnot, please email me if you have any questions about things going on, or if you think something's just not quite right, not necessarily maliciously, but just you don't think it's quite up to the standard that the Constitution sets. So that's all. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. I don't have any updates today. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I hope you all are doing well and staying safe. So the first is just the standard friendly reminder that if you have any marketing requests, just please reach out to us and we'll get it accommodated for you. Exciting news, our ASG sweatshirts are here and ready for you. So I'm going to send the form in the chat. If you haven't had a chance already, there's only a few of you. If you could just fill that out to indicate whether you'll be picking it up on campus or would like it shipped to you so that we can get your sweatshirt to you as soon as possible. And then lastly, the Sss Empower Hour is next Tuesday from 3 to 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Again, this is the last call, but if you are interested in sharing your experience within ASG, please private message me and I will get back to you as soon as possible so I can let you know details about it and how we can get it situated. So yeah, thank you.
Hello again. So I see that most of us have already accepted my Calendly team invite. If you haven't done so already, please refer to my email. There's some instructions in there that detail how to set this up. If you have any questions, please reach out. And then for the Grubhub, or sorry, for the What to Fix forum, all of us should have gotten Grubhub credits. If you didn't receive Grubhub credits, please reach out to me. And if you have a circumstance which restricts you from using Grubhub, please let me know as well, and we can work through that. And as always, if you are a member of the public for today and you would like to receive Grubhub credits, please put your email in the chat and I'll get those to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaiah. Moving on to discussion on the What to Fix. So we broke it up into question categories. We had Senate, Finance, Judicial Branch, TPB, and Administrators. And so overall, it went really well. So thank you all to those who were able to make it. And Justice posted the recording of the webinar onto ASG's YouTube page. So Justice, could you send the link in the chat, please? Thank you. So for senators who weren't able to make it, members of the public, please feel free to check it out after Senate today. There were a lot of great questions that we got, and we got to hear from administrators. So I just wanted to go over some frequently asked questions. We discussed elections, involved in ASG, TPB. And then there were a lot of questions relating to on-campus dining, COVID, academics, and TPB. So for on-campus dining, there were a couple of questions from students, both pre-submitted and submitted during the webinar, about asking for more workers at the dining locations on campus, requested for more food options at the SLP, that the line is really long at the SLP, that the wait times takes a while, and there were requests for more dining locations to be opened on campus in general. For COVID, some students had questions about vaccinations and whether student workers were going to be able to get vaccinations. There were questions about when the stay on campus order is going to be lifted, how that's being enforced. And then there were questions on student accountability, how students are being held responsible for both on-campus and off-campus COVID violations. And admin really encouraged using the anonymous reporting, which was discussed last week at Senate, and Lauren had a great infographic on that. So Senator Lauren, I don't know if you want to link the infographic in the chat, or maybe we could show it during hearing of the public. And then for academics, some students brought up concerns about privacy invasions with regards to lockdown browsers during class and tests. And I was also asked what the chances are of getting past veil, to which admin responded, not very high. And they mentioned the reasons that were brought up in their last letter, which was like grad school and how pass fail doesn't look good on grad school applications, and that the GPA went up last during that spring semester of 2020. And then there was also questions about TPB, specifically programming, both hybrid and on-campus programming. And I know Lupe just touched on that. So I just wanted to get some feedback from the senators that were able to make it yesterday. There was also a question regarding if there'll be more forums in the future. So that's something that exec and I are looking forward to making happen this semester. So I would just love to hear any feedback from senators on how we could improve, or what you think worked for the forum yesterday. So just feel free to raise your hand. Fancy?
Yeah, thank you. I really enjoyed it. I feel like it was definitely more formal than I feel like the one we had last year / whenever we had it in person. But I liked almost that I feel like it was more efficient in like getting a lot of answers, like indirect answers, and not necessarily like having folks whether it's students or senators or admin, dominate the conversation and like go back and forth. Like it really just felt like the panel style, I feel like was really, it was like really efficient, even though it was pretty formal, which I think as a person that was like on the panel, I kind of wasn't expecting it to be like panel style, but in hindsight, I did like that. And I think that we should have these once a month, especially when we're virtual. I think that it's very beneficial for students to stay updated, especially when like COVID is not only not going anywhere right now, it's actually getting increasingly complicated. And I feel like students are just wanting to know what's going on. And if they don't, like, they're not going to want to like be emailing everyone or, like a bunch of individual interactions. Rather, they could just have like these panels that they can go to each month and really get a lot of updates. And maybe we can switch out the admin, so it's just not always the same admin. Maybe we can get President Harris to come and, just kind of like be more personal with the students. I think it was pretty good. I'm very proud of whoever was on there. I'm really happy with the questions. I'm really glad that I feel like some students did not hold back in asking questions, and the fact that they can make them anonymous, I feel like kind of gives them more agency in asking whatever. I don't think anything was inappropriate. I just think it definitely was very like assertive and like what's going on. And I like that you could submit your questions like before, but you can also use the Q&A to like submit just like maybe random questions that you might have had or follow-up questions. So I think it was really awesome. And thank you so much for facilitating and helping with that.
Thank you, Fantasy. Ben?
I would like to echo the sentiment of the previous senator because I thought it was fantastic. I thought it went really well. I learned a lot, and I hope everyone who attended learned a lot. And it was very interesting to sort of have admin there and answering the questions for students directly. I thought that was really incredible. So yeah, I think having more of these would be absolutely incredible. So thank you to everyone who worked on that, and thank you to everyone who attended. It was fantastic.
Thank you, Ben. Does anyone else have any other feedback? And as always, my email is open. So if you can't think of anything right now, or you weren't able to make it, so you watch it and then looking at the recording, you realize that you have these sort of feedback, like just feel free to send an email my way and I can drop my email in the chat. But if there's no further discussion, then we can move on to final business and hearing of the public. So in order to accommodate Provost Baker's schedule, because she's only able to make it from 2 to 2:30, we moved the final business and hearing of the public earlier in the agenda so that students' concerns could be heard out. So I'll start with a question or comment that's on the comment form, which is that relating to the pass-fail agenda item, and the student said USD needs to allow for pass-fail for students this semester. It was shamefully denied to students last semester when it is clearly needed as an option. USD needs to care for its students, especially ones that are in difficult situations during the pandemic. We simply pay far too much money to not be properly attended to. The pass-fail option is needed. Lexi?
I and so many others from the Gender Equity and Sex Positivity Collective are here today to listen in on the discussion about pass-fail. We're all here for our individual reasons, but we collectively believe that pass-fail is the most equitable and just action that the university can take at this time. And we are really eager to push for this motion as so many students are struggling during COVID right now. So we're hoping to learn more about ways that we can collaborate and move this motion forward, as it's imperative for the health and wellness of all USD students.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything, either senator or member of the public, have anything else to say? Because there won't be a final business hearing of the public at the end. So if you have anything you would like to say about what's on the agenda today, or any motion previously laid on the table in the week before, or any concerns that you have for the assembly on non-agenda items, now would be the time to say. Okay, so if nobody has anything to say, since Provost Baker won't be able to make it until 2, I propose that we call a recess for Senate and then reconvene at 1:55. But that would require a senator's motion. And Anaya, I don't know if you want to speak more on that, bylaws. AJ?
I move to recess until 12:55.
Second.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor having been seconded to have a recess for Senate until 12:55. Is there any further discussion, Anaya?
I don't believe that would be rather effective for since Provost Baker's coming at 2. So someone could move to amend AJ's motion to 1:55, and then you would have to vote on that amendment. Then you would vote on the 1:55, assuming it's taken up.
Sorry, I'm in the wrong time zone. My bad.
No, you're totally good. That's just Zoom for you. Sean?
I move to make an amendment to AJ's motion to adjourn until, or sorry, to go to recess until 1:55.
Second.
Anaya, does that work?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, there's a motion on the floor having been seconded to amend the motion. Wait, so Anaya, do we have to vote on the amendment first and then vote on the motion?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a motion on the floor having been seconded to amend the motion to recess until 1:55. Is there any further discussion? AJ, is your hand raised? Okay. If there is no further discussion, senators, please cast your votes. Thank you. Motion passes. So the motion has been amended. Okay, so now there's a motion on the floor having been seconded to recess until 1:55. Is there any further discussion? If not, please cast your votes. Thank you. Motion passes. Senate will reconvene at 1:55. For senators, when you come back, if you choose to step away from your computer, please turn on your camera so we know that everyone is back. Thank you. So we're just waiting on Provost Baker. I know that Faculty Senate just ended. Thank you. Okay, the Senate will now reconvene. Thank you everyone for your patience. I understand Senate today is a bit unconventional, but I appreciate you sticking it out with me. So we can start taking comments. I've decided, because of the special circumstances today, that I will be letting the public speak during this line item, but I'll be prioritizing senators that want to speak first. And just to make sure that everyone has an equitable amount of time, if y'all could keep your comments and questions to the shortest amount of time as possible, that you can effectively get your message across. So I will start calling on whoever wants to speak first. Lauren?
Hi, Dr. Baker. Thank you for being here with us today. We heard from a member of the public earlier that a lot of our undergraduate students feel as though an extension of pass-fail is the most equitable solution to our current situation. And I know that we heard at the What to Fix forum, I'm not sure if you were able to catch any of it, but we heard some reasons behind why there has not been a decision to extend pass-fail. I was wondering if you could maybe elaborate and give a little bit more personal insight on that.
No, I wasn't there, but I did talk to Roger Pace, who did attend. And, you know, the faculty, this is their purview. I do not have the authority to just say to them, you have to do this. The curriculum and the instruction belongs to them. That said, I wanted to hear what you have to say about it, and of course, share that with them at large. One of the things that we think happened last semester, well, one of the things we know happened last semester is that the grades, even with the stress that you all were under, were not appreciably different. And so from a purely objective standpoint, if you look at the grades, you'll say, well, students did just as well without the pass-fail option being extended as they did before. But I understand that what you had to do in order to get these grades and what you went through was substantial. And I think the faculty understands that as well. We were all in a mode last semester where I think we were trying to figure out how to do this. And I'm hopeful, of course, you will know better than me, that faculty have adjusted to try to accommodate some of those stressors that you felt last semester, so that you won't need to have the pass-fail option extended. You know, again, this is faculty purview. So I want to hear you out, but I don't know if I can get this changed. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you. Lexi?
Hi there. Thank you for opening the floor and allowing me to speak. I am one of the student activists on campus who is continuing the active fight for the pass-fail option. There are a number of students on our campus who are suffering greatly with online school, I being one of them. Disability accommodations have not been met across the board. Students, family members have passed during this time. Students and their families are struggling financially. Students are having to pick up multiple jobs to afford their groceries. There is a consistent decline in student mental health. We hosted an in-person sit-in this past semester to bring attention to this crisis to the faculty at USD. We understand that USD continues to deny pass-fail as an option, primarily on the basis of it being unfair to medical students and other students who are desiring to attend graduate schools. During our conversations during our pass-fail sit-in, we have debunked all of these reasonings. The option for pass-fail should be an option. Students should be able to talk with their advisors and figure out if taking a class pass-fail is right for them. We are begging to continue this conversation as so many students are suffering. As noted, students were able to do well academically, but at what cost emotionally, mentally, and physically?
Thank you, Lexi. I'm taking notes and I'm going to turn your comments over as soon as possible. If I can get it done today, I'll do it today. So make sure that you tell me exactly how you feel. I have a sense of it, and the point about students suffering and the point about it being an option is one that I will certainly emphasize.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. My off-campus organization was also able to record the sit-in that transpired this past semester. So if you would like access to the recording, we had over 30 students share their hardships over the past semester without pass-fail as an option. And I would be more than happy to share that if that would assist in making the necessary changes.
Please send that to my email, gfbaker@. Thank you. Who else would like to share? And I know you've talked about this before, but I'm still interested in hearing what it is you have to say. So if there's another perspective, or you want to just affirm the perspectives that have already been presented, that's what we're here to do today.
Thank you. Fantasy?
Thank you so much. Hopefully y'all can hear me well. Thank you, Dr. Baker, for being here and allowing us to reiterate our concerns. I'm coming as a student leader, and as the coordinator for the Universal Design Ad Hoc Committee. So I'm definitely, with the virtual learning, I'm trying to focus on accessibility, not just for people with disabilities, but for access to a bunch of different things like finances, technology, just ways to considerably have access to this education. It is not traditional in any form. And I feel like the fact that we are kind of trying to fit a traditional semester into a very unprecedented time is just very complex, and it's really hard. And the more options we have as students, the more we're going to be wanting to work with the university, and the more we're going to respect that they are actually giving us everything that they can virtually, as we are paying pretty much the same amount as if we were to be in person to some resources that we don't actually get. And so I just want to really emphasize that virtual accessibility aspect. I have a lot of, I've had students come to me, and I've had friends who have been taking leave of absence because they didn't know if their accommodations were going to be met. I've been in communication with the Disability and Learning Difference Resource Center, not only ever since I've been to campus, but ever since the virtual learning has came about. It's really hard. I'm not trying to blame the DODRC on not being as proactive, but I think it's definitely, from my point of view, they have not been as proactive in reaching out to students who need accommodations. And when we do reach out, or when I do reach out for accommodations, I get reverted to go speak with my professor. If my professor doesn't know what to do, or they revert me to the DODRC, it gets circular, or otherwise I have to go up to a bunch of different chain of commands as an individual student without it actually being some blanket solution to where I can actually factor in all of the, I guess, challenges that come about, not only, family life, personal life, the academics, mental health, as was stated before. And so I just really wanted to emphasize that some students, although we are adults and we really try to take agency over our lives, we are definitely constrained by the university's ability to listen to us and the ability to have options for us. And so I don't think it should be on the students to actively, and almost every day in every class or every reading, have to go to the DLDRC or have to go to their professors for individual accommodations, or just reaching out to them about their life and what's happening. I think this has to really open up opportunities for students to come back to the university that have taken leave of absence, so then they understand that there is more potential leniency for them to be surviving. And I know that there has been some concern about the increase in cheating, but if the students can trust, if the university can trust their students, the students will be putting as much effort into getting the quality education that they can. And I don't think that a grade is going to define that. It's definitely just right now, it's the opportunity to continue to access this education. And so I'm really just reiterating what students have said before. Not only is this a accessibility issue for people with disabilities, but it's accessibility issue for people with low or no technology, whether that's Wi-Fi, laptops, anything like that. And so just wanted to iterate that. And I think that this would be a great option. There's also other universities that have been listening to their students, actively been trying to give them options that are compromisable, but also are very pertinent to the students' needs. I think this is one of our biggest demands we've had in not only the past year, not demands, sorry, suggestions that we've had not only in the past year, but also maybe in the past couple years at USD. This is really based on survival and not necessarily a luxury to have pass fail. I think it opens up the opportunities for people to get the best education that they can. So sorry if you can't really hear me that well, but thank you so much for being here, and let me know if I need to reiterate anything in the chat if you weren't able to hear.
We could hear you. Thank you, Senator Fantasy, and I appreciate what you're saying. These are challenging times for sure. So thank you for your honesty and your willingness to speak up.
Sean?
Senator Sean.
Hi, Dr. Baker. Again, thank you for coming. And I guess referring to what previous two speakers said, I think they really hit the nail on the head, especially with the option part of it and also just the dire need for it on behalf of a lot of students. I was also just curious too, is from like what I've heard so far, like I think the primary reason it sounds like for like the Senate or the faculty Senate to continue without pass fail is GPAs like on average have gone up, and I think that's really cool. That's great, but I'm just, I guess like out of curiosity as a question is, I'm just wondering, do you have any idea like from your time in like the Senate is like why that correlates to the people who are doing poorly, I guess, because I like how the GPA has gone up, but obviously I think it doesn't negate the fact that there's still people that really need this. It's an option, and obviously then the average goes up doesn't mean everyone's going up. You can still have a substantial number of people who are obviously working, as I said, like jobs outside of school and having a tough time academically. So I guess in short, it sounds like the average has gone up, which is why it's being pushed, like the no answer is being perpetuated. But I'm just wondering if you have any idea from like the Senate as to why that correlates to the people who need it most and aren't having an easy time with their GPAs.
Well, anytime you talk about an aggregate or an average, and as I said, the numbers look better. I have them in front of me and they look better, but you're right. Numbers they tell one picture, but they don't tell individual pictures. They talk about the group picture. So when I first saw these numbers and they came to me, I thought, well, this is good. This means that students did better. And so I can understand why anybody would have that response. What I didn't see in the numbers, and it wouldn't tell me, and that's why I'm talking to you, is that, yeah, but, and there is a but here that is not indicated in the numbers, what an individual student might be up against, how much you had to work to pull these particular grades, the kinds of sacrifices that you had to make. Those are not in the numbers. And I want to share that with the faculty in a way that maybe you cannot.
Thank you.
Ezra?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about how this is not just an academic equity issue because of the world we're living in right now. This is also a racial, gender, class equity issue. And in particular, LGBTQ students, and in particular, LGBTQ students of color have been hit particularly hard by the pandemic. A September 2020 report highlights exactly where this pandemic has affected the LGBTQ plus community. Results showed that 62% of respondents said that living arrangements had changed as a result of COVID-19. 82% of these moved back home with their parents after the COVID-19 outbreak. In these environments, compared to before COVID-19, 30% heard their family make negative comments about LGBTQ plus people more often, and 32% of trans and non-binary students reported disrespect of their gender identities more often. Overall, instances of severe psychological distress nearly doubled from 26% in 2017 to 43% in 2020, with LGBTQ students of color being disproportionately impacted in every category. And I can speak personally on this as well because I am a trans student, and I have not had a single class on Zoom where I have not been misgendered multiple times throughout the semester. A lot of the time, since I'm still in the process of getting my name legally changed, my dead name shows up in Zoom autofill a lot of the time, and I don't know why. And right now, IT has only told me that they're in a 2-week research phase and that to wait it out. So I think that we need to think about the culture of Zoom as well as just academics.
Culture of Zoom. Thank you, Senator Ezra. Now, did I get that? I'm looking at your name. Can you, in a class, can you change your name? Maybe not. I don't know. I'm not a student in a class. Can you identify yourself the way you want to when you come on to Zoom as a student?
Not always. A lot of the time, professors have that function locked, and so I have to ask them each time I join.
Okay, thank you for telling me that. I would not have known that. Thank you.
Ari?
Hi there. Thank you so much, Provost Baker, for being here today and allowing, giving us a space to kind of vocalize concerns. And I agree with many of the previous senators and the statements that they've had. I have heard me as a student and just from my fellow peers that we are living in a time that is very complex, as mentioned previously by another senator, but most of all, times that are constantly changing. Given the fact that we're not even sure, due to the increasing rate of COVID-19 spreading on campus, that we may not even be able to return. And when return to campus, and most of all, we don't know when this will end. Many of students that I've spoken to express concerns of pandemic fatigue and feel like they're reaching a wall, where in terms of we're sitting a long, extenuous hours on our laptop, staring at a screen, which is not healthy for us. Sometimes we don't get to go outside or just take that. And I can imagine that for students in, the buildings such as Maher who gotten COVID, things such as that. But what I do want to simply vocalize on is just the constant changing of circumstances in one's life. As senators have mentioned, students having to pick up second jobs, students having to support families, I myself work 2 jobs as well, just as a way to maintain some type of stable income for myself as a student. That way it's not heavily impacted on my parents as much. So those types of economic concerns, economic inequality, most of the fact that I've also met many students also from like the state of Texas, which recently have had a storm, and there's also that equity issue of just accessibility online to internet. Many external factors that are beyond a student's control. And this is why we really need this as an option, is that life is rapidly changing. We don't know what's going to happen next. We're not really sure when we'll get a sense of normalcy as well. And the fact that students of color, students from that hold marginalized identity from marginalized communities are also heavily affected as well. Low income as well, first gen. So as the senator had previously mentioned, I feel like this should really be an option, especially the fact that we're not even guaranteed, 1, the amount of money that we pay, 2, the changing circumstances and life constantly happening, and we're not really sure when this will end. 3, the pandemic fatigue. Even though the GPAs have increased, we also have to remember holistically that we're human beings, we're students, we're people, and we're getting tired. Many of just my peers I notice the fact that there's less interaction online, more students are turning off their cameras. And really, when you, even just as from what I observe, it's really starting to take a toll mentally for many students. So that's just really what I want to emphasize. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Ari.
Joey?
Thank you, Maya. Hello, Dr. Baker. I hope you're doing well. So I just wanted to emphasize that a lot of what Lexi mentioned earlier when she raised her hand, a lot of that was similar to what we brought up the executive board at our meeting with you. And I think that just shows that a lot of the difficulties that come with not only virtual learning, but pandemic life are inherent and they're unavoidable. And a lot of the student body, including myself, feel to continue as if it's business as usual is not the way to go. If anything, it just makes it more difficult. It's more of a burden for the student body. So I think giving students the extended pass-fail deadline would be really beneficial. And yes, I understand there could be some adverse effects in the future, but that's up to the students to be aware of those effects. Students should have the agency to do as they wish, in my opinion, and the opinion of much of the student body. So I would just implore you and your fellow administrators to convey that to the rest of the faculty, because I know that a good portion of the student body has been struggling, and no matter how used you get to the lifestyle of the pandemic and virtual learning, it doesn't make it any more easier. So thank you again for coming today, and I hope to be speaking with you throughout the rest of the semester.
Absolutely. Thank you, Senator Joy. Tell me, what is the deadline today? And forgive me for not knowing. If you want to change a course to pass, fail, when do you have to decide? Does anybody know?
I don't know that off the top of my head.
Okay, but we know it's sooner than later, probably. And then there's also a limit on how many courses anybody can take within their schedule, pass, fail. And so are you asking for, and I'm pretty clear on this, I just want to make sure, an extension of the deadline, whenever it is, and to increase the number of credit hours that one can have in their entire curriculum as pass fail?
Based off my understanding of what the student body has been asking, that yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm characterizing it appropriately. Thank you.
Just a reminder to those to please not use the chat unless you're sharing a link to something, just to ensure that everybody has an equitable chance of having their voice heard. Justin?
Deadline is April 7th. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I apologize for utilizing the chat. I just grabbed the answer, but yes, according to the current academic calendar, the deadline for pass-fail with advisor approval is Wednesday, April 7th. Okay. Hello, Provost Baker. Good to see you again from University Senate. I guess my question is, now with the information and the testimonies that you see from senators and students and student activists, I guess what is going to be done differently process time? Because as Joey mentioned, and especially with the testimony from Lexi, these aren't new things. We've written multiple letters of different lengths. I know we spoke exec with you personally, and then I know I also presented the same issues in summation to University Senate when it was brought up then. And each time it's kind of been brought up, it's sort of ended a similar way. And so going back to what you said, how you'll take this to your colleagues and back to University Senate, I'm just wondering how is this going to differ from previous times? Would you like to strategize different ways? We'd be happy to work with you with University Senate.
Well, the last time when it came up kind of sudden, maybe not suddenly for you, when it came up, I was on the sidelines and listening, and I didn't weigh in. I listened to what you had to say, and of course the Senate and the faculty have the purview here. What I think will be different this time is, because I'm having this conversation with you without anybody else. I know that Dr. Avery's here, but without the deans or the Senate, I can go back, I will go back and let them know how I feel like you feel. Okay, that's different. I've been kind of just sitting back going, let the process go. I will weigh in. And that may mean nothing, but I think it's a different, we haven't done it that way, okay? I can just give them my opinion based on what I've heard here today. And I'll continue to listen. And so whether or not that has any influence, we'll see. But we haven't done it that way before. But if you have any ideas, any strategies, let me know.
Thomas?
Yeah, thank you for being here, Dr. Baker. I want to keep this short. I just want to talk about taking risks. I think that school has been a great experience for me on the aspect of taking risks, and I think school should be about that. And I'm wondering the damage that this is having on students who want to take those risks. And these have been hard times, but I think school should be hard, and it's harder now than it has been. But I think that we should be rewarding students for taking those risks. And I think that we should be encouraging students to be taking these risks as well. So I'm wondering from your perspective, if you see that GPA increase as students taking easier classes, I'm wondering if this has actually caused learning to go down because students don't want to take as many risks as they did before.
It's impossible for me to tell from the information that I have what classes actually resulted in this GPA and whether or not students are taking easier courses. I don't know that you have very much option in your schedules to do that. So I would guess, although I don't have the numbers to back me up, that you take the courses that you need to take to get out of school. So I would think that what these numbers represent, the grades represent, is the hard work that students had to expel in order to get the courses done and to get the grades that you have without the pass-fail option being extended. So I just don't know if I think students are still taking the courses they need to take. I don't think you have that much flexibility in your schedules. But your point about taking risks is a good one. And your point, the things that are hitting me are the idea that you need to have agency. And even though we have to steer you and have the, ultimate some guidance over what it is that you're doing, but the notion of you having agency, I think is a compelling one. And for you to be able to make some decisions about what level of risk you're willing to assume. And so that's kind of the way I'm going to come back at this conversation. Now they can say, thank you very much, we hear you, and no. I just want to be honest with you. I can't, this is, as I said, going in, I can't just go, woo, and make this happen. I can say I listened with a different ear, with a third ear, I listened, and this is what I heard. And I know everybody's heard it before, but we got to try it again.
Thank you. If senators have to leave for class, please chat me for a point of privilege, just so we know that quorum is still being held. Lupe?
Hi, Dr. Baker. Thank you for being here. I just wanted to kind of speak as being one of the students who actually got one of my best GPAs last semester. One thing that I kept telling myself when I was telling other people was that even though it was the best GPA that I had last semester, I would change it for the world if it meant that I wasn't crying every day, struggling just to get those classes. I worked, I would say 10 times harder in all of my courses. And while, yeah, that GPA was nice, I definitely would have changed it for a regular GPA that I normally get if that meant I was happier and I was able to enjoy, especially my senior year, more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lauren Quincy?
Hi, I just want to say thank you first for coming here and listening to us today. I'm kind of just reiterating things that other people have said, but for me, from a personal stance, virtual learning has significantly impacted my mental health to the point that I was diagnosed with depression, as on top of the anxiety that I've already had. And I had to go home for most of last semester, which is not a great situation for me personally. And I just want to reiterate the idea that pass-fail is an option. It's the student's ability to choose on their own. And just that aspect in itself would have significantly decreased my stress last semester, because I am somebody that sacrifice my own needs in order to make the grades. And not that my GPA did increase from the previous semesters, but it wouldn't be seen as bad to some people. But again, the mental toll that it took on was a lot greater than it should have been. I also want to say that like USD prides itself on being a change maker campus and supportive of their students. And I think this decision not to offer pass fail doesn't align with these values. We're also an academic rigorous campus, but there are other universities such as like Stanford and Princeton that have offered pass fail, which are also academic rigorous campuses as well. So if we're just going on the aspect of GPA, it's increased, like this is the best option. I don't think it aligns with even the values of other universities that share our same qualities. I also, like Senator Ari said, we're not out of the pandemic yet. It has been continuing for now the third semester. And so we're under the same pressures and even increase because it's compounded and now it's lasting longer. We have the stress and anxiety of school. We have the financial situation that many people maybe in the first semester could deal with, but now 3 semesters in it's increasingly harming their mental health. And I think that in order for USC to show that they really do care about their students past the grades, the statistics, and the money is to offer pass fail. Thank you.
All right, we've reached our allotted time for this agenda item. If anyone would like to make a motion to extend the time, they could do that now.
Fantasy, is your hand raised for a motion? Okay.
I move to extend the time by 10 minutes.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor, having been seconded, to extend this line item by 10 minutes. Is there any further discussion? If not, please cast your votes. Alexa, can you please cast your vote? Okay, motion passes. Fantasy, you're up next on stack.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me speak again. I just wanted to, I guess, either reiterate or emphasize that the pass-fail option, emphasize on option, is a compromise, I feel like, from students to faculty. I feel like that is the compromise. It's either we have students staying at the university and sacrificing a lot, as we have heard, or we have students not coming back to the university, whether that's a leave of absence, or whether that's dropping out completely, or whether that's transferring. I think that this is the compromise. It's just an option. And let's say, for example, this option, just as much as they could say no to, listening to the students and giving this option, I think even if this does get passed, I would hope that the university is happy with their decision, happy that they are supporting students. And even if students don't take full advantage of the pass fail or don't want to do the pass fail and they figure out how to manage their grades, I think that it's still okay that y'all listened to us and gave us the option to do pass fail. I think it's a compromise that can definitely work. I don't know if it harms anybody. Rather, I think it's just kind of a complex situation that we are going to have to modify based on the very complex time that we're in. So if there needs to come up with another compromise, maybe we can do that. Maybe we can think alternatively. But I think, just speaking from my point of view, I think this is a compromise, and this will help students have more trust and transparency, and I guess feel supported by the university. And maybe the university will understand that students will go to every length to make sure that they're getting the best education that they can, and they're being supported by a university that is supposed to guide them and supposed to lead them. As much as we have agency, we also need transparency from the admin that are guiding us. And so I think this is a very supportive and doable compromise, and I just wanted to emphasize that.
Thank you, Senator Fantasy. Now, remember when this conversation came up before, I also trust the faculty. I'm listening to you and I'm going to report back. But I trust them as well, okay, to know what they think is best academically. And so I want to think, I'm sure that they considered many different ways of looking at this. So I don't want it to sound like they haven't made any effort or didn't have the conversation. I know you know they did, but I want that on the record.
Point of order, we are below quorum, so we have to reach adjournment.
Got you. Sarah, if we don't have quorum, then we don't have to make a motion, right?
No.
Okay, sounds good. Well, that's it for Senate today, but thank you to Provost Baker for taking time out of your busy schedule to come speak with us. And thank you to everyone's participation today, both senators and members of the public alike. Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation. I'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you.